Welcome to the Farming Without the Bank podcast, the show with a no BS approach to money, hosted by a farm strategy expert and authorized IBC practitioner. Join us as we get real and expose the flaws of traditional financial institutions in order to help farmers take control of their finances, create peace of mind, grow their wealth, and leave a legacy. Now, here's your host, Mary Jo Irmen.
Hello, and welcome back to Farming Without the Bank. How are you guys? Thank you very much for listening. I just have to say, if you did not see my Facebook page, I am ecstatic. There are like 9 million podcasts out there. And this one, because of you awesome listeners, have made it in the top 1.5%. So that many people are listening. And you know what's even more remarkable is that farmers are about 1 to 2% of the population. I've read both. One, I've read two, whatever. Let's just say you're 1.5% of the population. And you guys are paying attention. So thank you. I appreciate that. And I just say keep sharing. Right? Keep sharing, keep leaving good reviews, keep coming back. I am glad that this is helping. I am glad that you find this useful. And I very much appreciate you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Today we are back into Nelson's book. And we are going to talk about Nelson's chapter, Capitalizing Your System and Implementation. I think this is the most important chapter and probably should have been put closer to the beginning of his book, or at least before equipment financing, because this is the most misunderstood thing that I talk about with clients. I actually talked about it on a Facebook Live the other day, but Nelson talks about in this chapter, how do we get started? And he very specifically says, everyone is already spending all financial resources on what he thinks is best. There has got to be some honesty at this point, and a commitment to get out of the financial prison must be a burning passion. If you say, I don't have the money to do this, it's because it's not important enough. I talk to people all the time that have the money to do it and don't do it, but it's not important enough to them. Or, oh, I'm going to have to quit buying new equipment and quit trading equipment every year for a tax deduction to do this. Oh, I can't do that. What? So then you don't want to leave the banking system bad enough. You do not want to be in control of that bad enough. Right? Nelson goes on to say, this is going to require a change in priorities in life and recognizing that controlling the banking function personally is the most important thing that can be done in your financial world. Controlling this is the most important thing that can be done. What are we missing here? It all comes back to the last statement. How bad do you want it? It's going to require a change in priorities. Remember chapters ago when we talked about Parkinson's law? Our needs rise to meet our income. A luxury once enjoyed becomes a necessity. If we can't beat Parkinson's law and give something up for a little bit to capitalize our system and to get started, how are we ever going to get started? How much do we want to change? That's your comfort level. How bad do you want it? Right? Y'all know how cheap I am. If you've listened to past podcasts, you know I watch out Ziploc bags. I just did 2 of them this morning, before I was recording this podcast. I can be very frugal. And then there are other things in life that I will spend money on. We are remodeling our new home. And the contractor, we were looking at cabinets. And I said, this is what I want for cabinets. I know I want knotty alder. I know this is the color I want. I know that I want whatever kind of countertops I wanted, right? I know I want those things. They're going to cost a little more money. And then we got to talk, and I said, but I don't want glass on my cabinet doors. I don't want this farmhouse shelving. For God's sake, none of my dishes match. My silverware doesn't match. My cups don't match. Like, I don't care about that stuff. I go to the thrift store and buy cheap plates because if they break, then I don't feel bad. And the contractor just about died laughing. And she said, I truly thought, Mary Jo, you would be somebody that would have matching plates and all your stuff would match and all your sets would match. I'm like, no, absolutely not. Like if I have to pay $1 for a plate, that's maybe too expensive. I did go to the dollar store and get matching plates for when we have company and we have holidays, and so that I have nice plates. So I paid $1 each for those. And I felt really good about that because there's little kids in the family, right? We have lots of nieces and nephews and little people. And if they break a plate, oh well. If it gets a chip, oh well. Isn't that farmhouse look in? That everything is chipped and crappy looking anyway? So there are things, there are things I will spend money on. And then there are times I will be frugal. Am I going to possibly be a little more frugal going forward because I had to deal with the banks and they annoyed me? Absolutely. Absolutely. I did not capitalize enough because Parkinson's law creeped back in. That's human nature. That's going to happen. But if we can keep our eye on the target, how bad do we want it? You either want to be the bank or you don't want to be the bank and you want to deal with the banker. And if you want to deal with the banker because you are not willing to change anything to capitalize a system and get started, then you can't whine about anything. I can sit here and whine about the bank and all their stupid questions, but it was my own fault. I didn't have enough capital. Can I whine next time? If I don't beat Parkinson's law and I don't capitalize enough, can I whine next time? No, I can't, right? Because I should have learned from the past lesson. I have talked to farmers and ranchers who they just whine because they're not making any money. What are you doing differently? Are you marketing your grain? Are you looking at different ways to sell cattle? Are you looking at different ways to run them? Are you doing rotational grazing? What are you doing? We don't just have the liberty to complain about stuff and not do anything about it. And this is exactly what Nelson is saying in this chapter. You will put your money where it's important to you. What's important to you? Can you give something up to capitalize this? And he says, I strongly recommend that if you're going to do this, you find a life insurance agent that is thoroughly familiar with the infinite banking concept to act as a coach. In all probability, such an agent will be thoroughly familiar with questionnaires that will help you find out just how you are spending money now and show you ways to redirect that cash flow to build your banking system. Above all, you must be patient. It is going to take years to get started, and it needs to be a lifetime commitment. Holy moly. First of all, you need a coach that's infinite banking certified. Did y'all hear that? Those are words directly from Nelson's book. I talk about it all the time. Quit going to your family or your friends or your neighbors or your local agent who doesn't know anything. I talked to a guy last week who said, yep, I read your book and I went to my local agent. He gives me the numbers of his policy. I said, well, that's not an IBC policy. There's no way that's set up correctly. You just got traditional whole life. Oh, I got it paid up at 65. Why? Why did you do a paid up at 65? I just said, Nelson says in his book, it is going to take years to get started, and it needs to be a lifetime commitment. meaning you are going to pay the premium for your lifetime, ideally. Occasionally, we will set up a policy as a 10-pay, occasionally, but there is a really good reason for it. If we want a banking system, ideally, it's going to take a lifetime of paying. If you ask me, well, when can I stop paying? I'm going to tell you never. Why would you want to stop paying? That would be like saying, okay, I'm going to put all these nutrients in my ground. I'm going to put all the fertilizer on, all the anhydrous in. I'm going to do everything that I need to do. And then as soon as my ground quality gets to where I want it to, I'm going to stop farming. When you are in a position to raise a better crop, now you're going to stop farming. It would be like raising cattle and saying, I'm going to get my herd. I really want a purebred herd. I want X genetics, right? And you're going to get the genetics exactly where you need them to be. And then you're going to say, okay, I'm done. I'm going to sell the entire herd and start over. Why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense to me. A lifetime. Why stop paying into something that actually starts performing? These people that don't know what they're doing and they're setting policies up for you, you're not capitalizing anything. You're building the slowest business in the world. The idea is to get this thing off the ground and going so that you have access to that cash right away. And then he goes on to say, get started now. The longer you wait, the more you have penalized yourself. If you know what is happening, you will know what to do. Meaning, if you know what's going on in the world and you know what's going on with the Federal Reserve and you know how people are turning money, you will know what to do. But above all, get started now. Yeah, I have been told that there are other people out there teaching and selling life insurance. They are not practitioners. I am not going to even say they're selling an IBC policy. But they are telling people not to get started if you can't start with $10,000. Not to get started if you can't start with $20,000 of premium a year. Total BS. I am calling that out right here, right now. That is total crap. I am starting policies at $2,000, $3,000 a year for 20-year-olds. If you can't get started with $20,000, don't come see me. Who says that except somebody that just wants to make some commission? So I'm going to force you to beat Parkinson's law? If you can't afford $20,000 a year and you want to get started, and I say, oh, that's what you have to start with is $20,000 a year because you're not going to really see any growth other than that. Yeah, you may not see a whole lot of growth, but why would I put you in financial hardship to get started? Why would we rob Peter to pay Paul? This advice coming from somebody that's filed bankruptcy? This advice coming from somebody that isn't a coach? You've got to be kidding me. You start where it's comfortable. If we have to start more policies, we start more policies. Nelson had 49 life insurance policies. Do you think he started with $10,000 a year? No. I have seen Nelson's son-in-law runs his organization. I have seen his son-in-law's numbers. He shared them with us at a think tank. His policies are small. He's got a lot of them, but they're all small. And guess what? It all adds up. Are you going to be able to do massive, huge things with a $3,000 a year premium? No, absolutely not. But where you're at that point in your life, it's going to help. Get started. There is absolutely no point in saying, Mary Jo, I just can't. You can't, or you don't know how, or you've not asked the question, how can I? You have to understand when you start these policies, you are going to have a capitalization phase. You are not going to have access to all of your money. That is going to take time, just like it took time to make money starting your operation. You had to capitalize. You had to put some money in to buy tractors, to buy cattle, to buy ground. You had to capitalize that. Did you get upset about that capitalization that you could not touch? If you bought land and you had to capitalize that land, you couldn't touch the equity of it. That was equity. That was your 20 to 40% equity. Were you upset about that? So you didn't buy the land? No, you got started, knowing that long term, that was going to pay off. This is exactly the same thing. A lifetime commitment, long-term thinking. That was 3/4 of a page and a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. And I think it is so important. Everything that I am constantly preaching, Nelson has right here in this chapter. Some of those hard questions that you all are asking are right here in Nelson's book. If you are reading Farming Without the Bank, you also need to read Becoming Your Own Banker. Don't just think that my book is the only one with answers, right? And if you are reading Nelson's book and saying, the first half of the book, that's pretty simple, I don't need to know that. Yeah, you do. Yes, you do. Go back and reread it. I guarantee you there are going to be answers to the question, and don't read it fast. Read it slow. I had read his book multiple times and I read it fast. Until you turn around and you read that slow and you think about the majority of what he's saying and really process it, you aren't going to understand what he's saying. Even my book, as people tell me they've listened to it 14 times, every single time they hear something different. 14 times in a row, and every single time I hear something different. Every single time you read it, there's going to be something different in there. There's going to be an answer to a question. I am here to help you with those answers. If you've purchased my book, if you've read it, or you've read Nelson's book, and you want to have a meeting, I will do a free 1.5-hour consult. You get emails. In those emails is a link to my calendar. If you've been given the book by somebody else, let us know. We'll send you a link to the calendar, but you have to read the book. Let me tell you, I can tell if you have or not. So don't try to get by and say, oh yeah, I've read it. Really? Really? Chances are I'll say, did you really read the book? Okay. That's all, folks. That's all I have for today. Just remember, it's going to take some time to capitalize this system. And it's going to take you a lifetime to implement it. A lifetime. It's not going to happen overnight. Just as you didn't build your operation overnight, there are 80-year-olds out there still building their operation. If you have questions, concerns, comments, let me know. MaryJo@withoutthebank.com, and I would be happy to answer those for you. Otherwise, you have a fantastic day, and thank you again for listening. I very much appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Farming Without the Bank podcast. We hope today's episode has inspired you to take control of your finances in new ways. Don't forget to check out our website, farmingwithoutthebank.com, and engage with us on our Facebook page, Farming Without the Bank. Join us next week as we smash more financial myths and empower you to accomplish your financial goals.